What's up, guys? We are back for another week of best bets and props. This time it's for UFC Vegas 53, Rob Font versus Marlon Chito Vera. Very excited for this fight card. There's a lot of money line picks that I like. A lot of closely lined fights, too, to make some money on. We don't have to wager a whole lot to get a lot of return on investment this week. So some simple props will do, some simple money lines will do, and we even have a handful of underdogs that I think are pretty likely to come through as well. So let's get into it, starting with Andre Touchy-Feely at minus 275 on the money line. He's taking on Joanderson Brito. And I think Andre Feely is going to have him beat pretty much everywhere in this fight. He's got the physical advantages at 5'11" in the weight class compared to Joanderson Brito's 5'8". He's going to have a reach advantage. I think he's better on the feet by far. And if Joanderson Brito wants to negate the stand-up and take this to the ground, well, I think Andre Feely has been training over there with the Team Alpha Male guys. I think he's going to have the defensive wrestling to shut down Joanderson Brito's attempts at taking this out of the kickboxing realm. So he's got a huge experience advantage as well that can't be stated enough. So I really think that minus 275 is a fair price. Maybe a little bit wide of a line. This could be lined closer. Joanderson Brito is kind of a wild man, very powerful Brazilian, and I think he probably has better than better of a shot than his money line would suggest. But as far as, just a way I see this fight playing out, I think Andre Feely could win inside the distance or by decision most likely. So minus 275, one of my more confident picks. Not the best value money line, but one of my more confident picks. Going on with that, Natan Levy at minus 180, I think is a very good price on a guy who I think is UFC caliber, at least compared to Mike Breeden, who I do not think is that UFC caliber. We saw Mike Breeden come in on short notice valiantly against Alex Hernandez, although he got finished last fall in just over a minute's time. Pretty brutal overhand right knockout. I've seen Natan Levy throw that same overhand right against the cage, so we'll see if Mike Breeden can survive. Natan Levy, though, even though he's got some pretty slick striking, he displays even better grappling. He's got a pretty good transition from his striking to his grappling, a wide array of submissions in his arsenal. And even though we haven't seen on the resume, if you look on paper at Mike Breeden's record, you're not going to see a lot of him getting finished by submission. But man, has he been close if you watch his fights. If you watch those regional scene fights, you'll see a lot of cases where guys who I don't think are on Natan Levy's level actually almost having him finished by arm bars, chokes, things of that nature. He's been saved by the bell a couple times. I think Natan Levy could do it. Minus 180 on the money line for a guy that I think is better on the feet and better in the grappling. I'll take that money line all day. Also, Natan Levy by submission is plus 260 I've seen out there. That's kind of a sneaky look if you're seeing what I'm seeing in the tape study. Underdogs that I like are Carlos Candelario, who's starting off the fight night on I think the first prelim of the night. Carlos Candelario is fighting a guy named Tatsuro Taira, who's coming off of the Japanese regional scene. This kid is only 22 years old, undefeated, and he's a huge favorite in this fight, leaving Carlos Candelario at plus 200 on the money line. I think that's a very good underdog shot because I think he's got much better of a chance over a guy who, in Tatsuro Taira, yeah, he's got an impressive record. If you look into that record and watch the fights, these guys are just bending over for Tatsuro Taira on the regional scene. Not the highest level of competition over there. He does have a slick submission game. He is fast to, kind of have his opponent wobbled by his strikes. He'll dive under their neck and get a pretty good back take on them, get the choke. But Carlos Candelario is no slouch. He should have won his fight on the Dana White Contender Series. He lost a controversial decision to Alta Mariano, who actually we saw in the UFC. So he beat a guy on the Dana White Contender Series who, so a high-pressure spot on that show against a guy who's at least bottom-of-the-barrel UFC level. So we kind of know where he's at. He's also coming off of that East Coast regional scene promotion, CES. So we kind of know what the level of Carlos Candelario is. Not so sure about the huge favorite in Tatsuro Taira. And Tatsuro Taira's got a lot going against him. He's only 22 years old, so not a whole lot of experience you can gain at that age. His first time flying over here and fighting professionally in the States. And just the level of competition over there has not been that valuable, at least in my eyes. So not only so there's a lot of unknowns in this fight, but the fact that we get plus 200 on a fighter in Carlos Candelario, who we've seen a little bit of we kind of know a little bit about him. And if this fight is even a coin toss 50-50, we're getting the better side of that coin toss with a plus 200 underdog. So give me Carlos Candelario, first underdog pick. The second one is my boy, Johan Lines, the White Lion. I've cashed on this guy twice so far as an underdog in his past 2 fights. He's come through with 2 knockouts against very good opponents. Evan Cutts over in the LFA for the belt. And also Justin Burlinson on the Dana White Contender Series was a huge favorite over him. And a very good opponent, too. And all of those skill sets were put to bed when Johan Lines was able to knock him out in round 1. So there's a pattern of Johan Lines coming through as an underdog. There's a pattern of Johan Lines coming through with a knockout. He's got unbelievable power and strength at 170. And at plus 120 on the money line, for an 8-0 opponent who looks very good coming into the UFC, I'll take him over Gabe Green. And now Gabe Green has not really fought a huge power puncher like Johan Lines in a while. You know, he's been knocked out early a couple times in his career, has Gabe Green. But yeah, he's very hittable. You can look at that even if you just wiki cap this and look at the the significant strikes that he's sustained from guys like Daniel Rodriguez and the like. Even Philip Rowe tagged him up. Even though he dominated that fight, he's a hittable guy, and I don't think he can take the power of Johan Lines. As an underdog, I will take Johan Lines. If Johan Lines was the favorite in this fight, I probably would stay off of it. But since they're going to give me Johan Lines at plus 120, I've seen plus 325 is what I got on the KO prop as well. So his most likely path to victory is plus 325 by KO. I like that a lot. I'll take that as well. So far on the props, we've had Natan Levy by submission. That's kind of, plus 260 on that. I'd kind of want a little bit more money on that prop, to be honest, to put money on it. But Johan Lines plus 325 by something that he's proven to do again and again if he wins fights is to win by KO. I like that. And his money line, you're getting plus money as well for an undefeated prospect at 170. Other props that I like this week are Daniel Da Silva versus Francisco Figueiredo. Fight does not go to decision, minus 110. This is the perfect recipe for a fighter that you would want to bet the fight does not go to decision. Daniel Da Silva, killer be killed fighter, usually gets the job done early in fights. He's a very powerful guy at this weight class, gets the knockouts early. In his last fight, like we saw, he didn't get the knockout early against Jeff Molina. He gassed out and got finished in round 2. Francisco Figueiredo, I don't think is UFC caliber. I think Daniel Da Silva will knock him out very early. If he doesn't, though, Francisco Figueiredo has, at least on the regional scene of Brazil, proven an ability to, either get the submission or get a finish. So if Daniel Da Silva completely gasses out and leaves his neck out there, maybe he'll get choked out. Or just gas out completely and get finished some other way. But I really do. I'm confident at minus 110 that he gets this job done against Francisco Figueiredo. He should be able to walk through this guy and get the knockout. So that's, like I said, this is the kind of the skill gap on the feet, and also just the fact that he's got a pattern of never seeing the judges' scorecards. Minus 110, I'll take fight doesn't go in that spot. The last but not least is the main event of the evening, Rob Font versus Marlon Chito Vera. These are a couple time props that are a little bit chalky. You're paying a lot to get a unit in return, but the over 2.5 at minus 310 and the over 3.5 at minus 220, I think are pretty good spots. If your bookie allows you to parlay those props with something else, I think these are safe time props to parlay. I see this fight going the distance, but fight goes the distance is for all 25 minutes. Who knows how Marlon Vera is going to look in rounds 4 and 5. Maybe he falls apart. Maybe he gets even better than we've seen him look in rounds 3 of his fights. So I don't want to count out for like minus 150 or less. Fight goes to decision in this fight. There's a lot of gray unknown area in rounds 4 and 5 I don't want to play with. So I like over 2.5 and I like over 3.5 at these price tags. I think they're pretty reasonable, especially that over 2.5. Marlon Chito Vera is one of the most notorious slow to accelerate fighters. He has not really won a lot of round 1s. Rob Font, on the flip side, has not really shown a finishing power in round 1, at least in a very long time. So, even fighting guys like Cody Garbrandt at this point in his career last summer, who lasted all 25 minutes with him. So not going to have that fight-ending power. On the flip side, he's also pretty durable himself. even though Jose Aldo knocked him down a lot back in their fight in December, he recovered quite well from those shots. I think he proved durability in that fight. And my point is, I think round one is almost going to be a freebie for us. So if we can get round one, we can get these guys kind of playing it safe and conserving their energy in rounds 2 and 3. I think we're going to cash that over 2.5 pretty easily at minus 310. I think that's a parlayable prop. You keep going over 3.5 is where I think it's pretty safe at minus 220 as well. I'm slightly edging Rob Font in this fight, but I'm not playing that money line as a best bet just because I could see Marlon Vera winning this fight too, especially if it keeps going. It looks better in rounds 4 and 5. I could see him stealing those rounds. I'm slightly edging Rob Font because his significant strike metrics, his boxing skill on the feet, and his experience in 5 rounds fights. But that's not one of my best bets this week because I could just as well see Marlon Chito Vera getting the upset as well. I also like Andre Arlovski this week, but I can't, in good conscience, make that a best bet either because the guy's 43 years old. But so 2 money lines I like, 2 underdogs I like on the money line as well. A few props for you guys. Let me know in the comments what you think this week. If you've got any sneaky props as well. I don't really have any big money ones besides the plus 325 Johan Lainez knockout. But if you guys have any sneaky spots, a split decision, Jake Collier or something like that, I see is kind of a popular one too. I could see it happening, but so these are my picks. Let me know in the comments what you think. You agree, disagree? If you're going to ride with me or if you've got something else you want me to tail you guys on, I'm down. I'm down for some degenerate action this week. So I'll see you guys next time for the Sunday recap. All right, good luck in all your betting action. Cheers.